Welcome back to Doc Shows You How. Hey folks, this time we're going to do the full build video on how to recreate this Ewok Village for almost free. I have stitched together the 3 previous videos on this here, so you've got it all in one place if you want to build along. So let's go ahead and collect those materials, grab your tools, let's get right to the table.
We're going to start with a Pringles can and a CD. Now, I bought those CDs, a bunch of them at a thrift store a while ago. I just kept using them. I don't think each one's costing me 10 cents. So this is just going to be the base. We're starting with a taller, bigger can. So I'm just showing you the kind of the technique on how to build these things and how to get the texture on the tree. My thing is that there haven't been a whole lot of tutorials on trees since 3D printing came out, about 3 years or so. I'm not calling out any particular creator, just there hasn't been any, and even though there are some, I feel like we've lost our soul to the ease of 3D printing, and this project I developed to be as easy as possible, and I developed it back in the COVID lockdown and just never got a video. Here's the trick, is this paper. Now, I am using Amazon shipping paper here, but I have used paper bags I got from the dollar store before, 40 of them for $1.25. Either works fine, just this is literally free. So the trick is hot glue and putting the paper on it and pinching it in place. And you'll see a little bit more of that in a moment. We're gonna make a coil here so that we can make the bottom of the tree more shapely and a little bit more trunk-like, leaning out into roots. Really am trying to mimic the Sequoia that we see in Return of the Jedi. And even though this is agnostic and not just for Star Wars Legion, anybody needing trees can do these giant things. I am trying to make like those Sequoia.
Hey folks, if you want to see me recreate the old Kenner Ewok Village this way, these techniques, comment village below.
So in making that texture here, we're just putting down some hot glue, putting the paper in it, and pinching it. That motion, that kind of pinching motion, gives you the vertical up and down, kind of chaotic, random texture of bark. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it's quick, it's easy, anybody can do it.
Psst, have you subscribed yet?
Getting going on the first log here. And I would just want to give you guys an option other than 3D printing that maybe save you some money. This idea, I am going to be brutally honest here. I did absolutely steal from a 3D terrain company. I saw in their catalog something similar, not exactly like this, and I thought, yeah, I might be able to do that for free. Using some board from a Monopoly board here. I bought that for the Star Wars figures, I think it was. Just use that for the base on these. It's easy enough to use, and then you have some grip on the bottom. So just like with the big tree part, we're going to put some cardboard as a thickener there, and the same paper treatment on this guy. Let's get going on the second log. This is the big log that's going to end up having a root ball on the end, so we need to process the can down a little bit, and then we're going to just put on a couple of those big coils, just like we did for the standing tree. Only we're not folding them this time. We're letting the root extend both smaller up onto the can and smaller away from the can. And now that I've got a few on there, I can kind of see how it wants to lay. And let's make the log opening here. And I want to make that pretty big so we can put a bunch of characters in there, maybe a 4 or 5 guys, or even a gun emplacement by chance. Again, thickening it up with some cardboard. And now we get going on its initial texture. So that's all done, and we're moving on to its placement on the board, because that's how the roots are going to have to be shaped. And now we make a bunch of those coils. You're going to need more than I made right here. Fortunately, that paper is cheap and or free. So you make your coil, bend it in half, you got 2 roots. And the way I liked to do this, and I think that it helps the overall end effect, is circling the shape of the can, not stacking them, but fill one all the way around, and then go back in and fill the next round entirely. And just kind of keep putting them in there one at a time until you fill that whole little, dare I say, orifice. And then once you kind of have enough in there, you just kind of go through and start your shaping and refining and like putting more hot glue in some pieces and shaping them kind of like little dreadlocks or something. And take your time, have some fun, make it the way you like. This is some chaos incarnate here, some kind of weird Cthulhu thing. I saw some pictures of this kind of stuff. Do some research, it's amazing. So the atypical black end Mod Podge, we've all seen this. Thank you, Jeremy. I am wearing gloves here because it's a mess. Just take your time, get it in there. So this Mod Podge does give like a plastic coating, which is of course can help hold it, and it is still reasonably flexible when all said and done. Everything's coated. So I've got the root ball, the tall tree, a small little stump, the top of the split log. Give it all a base coat of warm caramel, and then we're going to get on to some painting. Now for the painting, I'm using burnt sienna, this kind of burnt umber, and terracotta. I'm going to use the burnt umber as a watered down wash that gets all the deep detail to have some life and texture. And put a bunch on, wipe it off, back and forth, the whole thing, dry brushing and this wash is a dance. Just keep going until you like it. Dry brushing on that burnt sienna and following that with just the lightest little amount of the terracotta just for highlights. And we're ready to move on to the base flocking. Put on that glue. We're using coffee. Took some old coffee, baked it a while, got it nice and dry. This is a free flock in earth tones and can be painted easily, and everything's ready. Looking good. Moving on to the next trick here, which is another flock. This is my DIY flock I do use making any kind of moss I choose. Here, this is the one purchase I've made so far for this project. This is moss from the dollar store. Buzz, 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 grind it up. It was $1.25, of course. So using a coffee grinder, you can control the size of the moss and how fine it is or isn't. And we're just going to go ahead and start layering that on in the forests, in the redwood forests and Big Sur and everything. I had a chance to visit with some friends, and this stuff, everything's covered with moss. Just everything. Unholy, unruly. It's on everything. So feel free to cover as much or as little as you like. It was on everything, I gotta tell you. And so here, look, all these different color mosses. I could do a flock with all of those. I'm only gonna do it with this one here, just so we have a bit of a contrast. And that's where I killed my grinder. I do not lament it. It did its job. It was fantastic. I'll just go to the thrift store and buy another one. But you see here, we're putting on another layer that just adds some great depth. And these ferns, fake ferns. Now this is where this becomes almost free. This thing was $3 or $4. Fake fern makes you all these little tiny ferns. I'm just gluing them around a pony bead and then taking a lighter and heating them up gently and just bending them out. And so I feel like this is the one important step here that does cost you a little bit of money, because these ferns just help with the illusion of scale so very, very much. So I'm getting 5 pieces of terrain from essentially garbage, and then those, brushing off all the extra, picking off all the weak. Look at it hide the whole ATSD. That is a big old thing. Hey, if you've stuck around this long, go ahead and subscribe. I do appreciate you spending some time here with me today. I do just want to say I got a lot of upcoming things, as well as a big backlog. Check some of that out.
Let's get to the table. Let's just start processing the Pringles cans. This isn't drastically different than the last video, just doing a couple of different things because these are standing. Interesting thing about Sequoia is they sometimes will rot out the core as they are living and standing, and the only thing really still alive is the outer shell of the tree, and that's kind of where the active transition from nutrients and water in the soil gets up to the branches. And I have seen Sequoia, they're in redwoods, that were standing and hollow at the base. It's obvious that some animals in the wild are going to use that as a place to live. So here we're using a large Easter egg to start part of the hut. So I'm putting tape on there to help try to prevent it from shattering as I cut it, because this is not a terribly flexible plastic. And I'm not entirely sure how well that technique of taping it worked. It didn't shatter, so maybe it worked fine here. Anyway, I am using a Monopoly board, a Star Wars Monopoly board here as the platform and the little bridges around everything. I find it amusing that this is a leftover Monopoly board I bought entirely for the miniature Star Wars figures that are roughly in scale with Star Wars Legion. Spent $4 on it, so I don't know if you want to include that in the cost or not, otherwise this would have just been garbage. If you need some of this good chipboard, there are thrift stores that have Monopoly boards all day long, everywhere. So we're just going to go ahead and kind of outline that crack with some paper just like before. Working on the branches here, this time I'm using a paper towel tube. And just keep trimming and keep trimming and keep trimming and keep trimming until you like how it angles. It's pretty straightforward here. I feel like maybe skinning or texturing the branches before doing the overall bark is a good technique here. And then as far as the rest of that, check out the original video. So this is not a regular straw. This is a little bit more sturdy straw from a sippy cup or something here. And this is going to be part of the function for the, oh, check that out. A little bit of the old in and out. And so that's going to be part of the function for the elevator. You'll see that part of the build in the second video. We'll just beef that up with a little bit of cardboard just so that looks more branch-like. We just need to keep the straw open so that it will work for that elevator. Now, I gotta tell you folks, the universe is funny. It's got a sense of humor, right? So I start working on this video for y'all as a follow-up to my Almost Free Forest. And so I start thinking to myself, like, man, it'd be great to be able to see an Ewok Village, to see one of those vintage old toys. And I just could not find the beat-up old one I have. It's in parts. I couldn't find it. And just as a kind of way to blow off some steam, I went to the thrift store, and wouldn't you f***ing know it, there is one for sale at the thrift store, $150. $150 at the thrift store? This isn't eBay, y'all. And the truth is, it wasn't in the greatest condition. It was missing some pieces, and but it was interesting to see it, kind of get a scale reference for myself. Just get that trimmed. Save all those pieces. You'll use those to do some stuff later. Anyway, I was saying that, you know, $150 was too much, right? I just couldn't believe it. But I thought it was funny that the universe literally put this thing in my path. And so I use this mantra pretty often. How amazing can this get? How awesome can this get? And it was kind of just the universe, tongue-in-cheek, being like, here you go, boy. Here's a toy for you to play with. I did go back a week later when everything got reduced to half off, and I did pick it up at $75, which I feel was a better deal. I will show some reference pictures to that in the second video when I'm comparing my finished piece. So here we're just starting to work on the platform, just kind of get that all going. And then the only way to get this amazing texture is to just do it. I'm using barbecue skewers I've trimmed down. Now I use both a pair of snips and a pair of heavy-duty crafting shears. Now here, taping them together was a faster way to get those little platforms. Made a bunch, and we're just going to get going. Sorry about that, folks. I tried not to make that joke. I just couldn't resist. The inner child, the inner 14-year-old boy just couldn't resist. You see me struggling with these as I took the tape off. I figured, what am I doing? That's kind of dumb. Let's try this another way. So if you're going to try this build or do something similar, check this out. Leave them taped. It puts application way faster. Now these Ewok Villages, when you buy one, they range anywhere from $20 for a beat up old one missing a bunch of parts, all the way up to more than $300 for one brand new in the box. Why spend that when you can spend maybe $5 on a thrift store Monopoly board and some barbecue skewers? I'm not going to count the Pringles cans as a cost because hopefully you're buying those for the chips and those cans are free. So I built this whole thing for right around $5, probably maybe even less. And I just used Pringles cans, those Easter eggs. Now I did have this little wood shape here I'm using for a door. Alright folks, every YouTuber has to say this. If you enjoy what I do and want to see more, go ahead and hit subscribe. That stuff really matters for the logarithm, really matters for me here. I like seeing new people here, and if you're part of the group, you like seeing this kind of thing, come back to the bench here. Join me more often. I'm always putting out videos. I've got a bunch of stuff in the backlog you might like. Check that out too. And then pretty active in the community posts. I put out surveys and all that kind of stuff here. So we're just adding texture here to the sides, and then we use hot glue to kind of do the thatching as well. It's kind of a poor man's 3D print pin here. And then if that thatching isn't quite detailed enough for you here with just the hot glue, I'm going to come back in here and we're going to do one more little thing to add some finer detail. Now this is not a soldering pin, this is a hot tool for doing wood burning. Yeah, check that thing out. So this was part 1. If you want to see part 2 where I finish up the paint job and add some details, all the little accoutrements, come back for the next one. Again, and priming with Mod Podge.
Just painting happy little trees.
Alright, so if you want to see more detailed on how I paint up and add texture to the trees initially with paint, that is in the earlier video. Again, that link's in the description. This stuff, however, I happen to have this khaki on hand, which is the perfect color for the base of this platform. And I kind of had it because it was a nice flesh tone. And then adding just a little bit of this yellow to it gives me the right shade for the huts, kind of that hay looking stuff. Lots of stuff to make here, starting with the railings. You're going to see me gluing a lot of sticks together. It's just kind of like figuring out how they fit together, what works for you. I love gluing the tip of the rope on first and wrapping around and gluing it. I'm literally showing you how to do all these things here, so I'm not going to describe every piece until it's something weird. I want to say thank you for all the engagement on and around these videos. I really have enjoyed building this. It has been a challenge. It's not the first time I've built an Ewok Village, just the first time I tried to reproduce a Kenner thing. Which brings me to my request here. If you want to see me do other classic toys, like, I don't know, maybe the mini rigs from back in the day. We're seeing one of them brought back in Mandalorian recently. So that's something I might be willing to do, is build some more vintage deep dive stuff. So if you want to see that, maybe come at mini rig, what's wrong with my mouth, down below, and I will figure out which ones to build. I am amused by this whole video for a couple of reasons. Like, the universe is funny and a bunch of stuff has happened along this little journey. If you're watching this video and haven't watched the others, as I was building this thing initially, I happened to think to myself, man, I'd love to see an Ewok Village in hand. Okay, let me explain this. Pipe cleaners have this wonderful twisted wire inside, and by burning off the fuzz, you end up with a wonderful looking miniature rope. So we're just going to shape it a little bit here, tack it in place with some glue right quick. I did want to look at an Ewok Village from back in the day, and wouldn't you know, the universe put one in my path. Local thrift store for $150. That's a little too much for me, but I did come back a week later and buy it at half off at only $75. There is a direct comparison between that one and my build at the end of the video. Hang out for that. One craft stick in this craft build. Ha! One! Ha 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 ha!
I think all told, I spent maybe $10 on this whole build. LED lights, barbecue skewers, a bunch of super glue. I think that's a pretty good price point comparison. Now, I did something amusing along the lines. As I was editing this, I managed to land on a particular timestamp for the whole video. And if you take a look and see what it is and understand why I find that amusing, comment below. Let me know what it is about that timestamp, that length of the video number that is so amusing here. And here we're getting going on that chariot kind of thing, that thing so they can carry the golden god. And trimming off the excess. Yep, everything's good. Let's get moving. We got more to do. And the rock. You ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender? It's a wonderful parody of his character in there. The Boulder. The Boulder is conflicted about smashing Imperial troopers. The Boulder is over it. What's it called when you castrate a horse? Oh, right, that's right. Gelding. And they're off! Was that too much? Did I go too far? Thing looks like a testicle, and now I'm going to cover it with this rubber. That doesn't really help a whole lot. Looks good in the end, though. Do y'all know I have a huge back catalog? 300 plus videos. I got a lot of stuff. Maybe check some of that out. There might be something there that you could put into your next game. Alright folks, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and subscribe and like this video. You know the drill. It helps the channel, it helps the algorithm, helps you because you want to see more of this stuff. You don't want to miss out on my next awesome build. Man, this fire pit, I put so much effort into this thing. It ended up being simpler than I thought it would be, and yet still kind of tricky to get it all done. Using food packaging here, my wonderful wife got some pastries in that or something. And just sand that up so it diffuses the light. And so I bought that light on Amazon. I think I got 2 of them for about $4, $5. And I just couldn't do with a static little nothing fire pit here. I had to go a little bit further. And I'm super happy with how it ended up in the end. I do think that this would be an easy way to build up a really nice little fire pit to have that's just for your encounters, not attached to something. A little bit better, kind of a step up from the atypical tea light that we all have done before. Nothing wrong with those, they're a great starting point. So another odd thing that happened while doing this build is it happened to run across May the 4th. That, you know, the unofficial holiday. It's kind of fantastic. Just so much synchronicity that happened during this build and so much wonderful reactions there. See, isn't that look so much better than just a flat thing with a sticker? Glad I went through the effort here. And then we're just gonna pop the battery pack underneath and secure it with a chunk of Velcro. Nice and easy. If I need to change the batteries, it'll be easy to do so. And gack on a bunch of glue and just kind of like move it until it kind of seats the best you can get it to seat. See, everything works. Mushrooms, 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 because you know I'm a fun guy. I had a bunch of these leftover little wooden discs. They're very easy to just cut. So we're just going to draw some circle shapes on there. Do it on the little ones. That gives the larger ones a chance to cool down enough that we can come back here now and go along that factory edge, just hiding that perfect round. Now I decided to go ahead and put these on the one tree that's had its heartwood rot out. Like maybe those mushrooms are like, this thing's dying, I gotta eat me some of that. Alright, now that that's dry, we're gonna go ahead and take some more of those pipe cleaners I burned the fuzz off of. And that kind of sounds like a hate crime to some furries. That's terrible, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, twist these in place, and I'm also gonna make a little loop so it's easier to tie that jute onto here in a minute. then we can give it a test swing. Yep, that'll knock something over. While we're at it, let's tie some of this onto the elevator. Yep, that's gonna be great. Let's start assembly. We're so close, guys. We're so close. However, snip that tip. There we go. First floor, lamps, lingerie. Alright, if you were there for the first video, you know I destroyed that grinder. Went out and bought another one. And destroyed that one. Yes, thrift store grinders, what you gonna do? That last one lasted me for years. If you want to see a more in detailed bit about covering everything in moss, that again is in that first tree video. Link is still down in the description. And wonderful little detail, some ferns and other plants knocked together real quick. Again, more details on that in the first video. Just kind of working through those little pieces to help sell the scale more. And we're just going to use a bit of netting from some oranges I had. And a quick bit of spray paint. Just process that about how you'd expect. Just melting those edges so it doesn't come unraveled. And then I'm just making essentially a drawstring bag here, so we just kind of go through and do it like that. And then the taper is now in the bag. Now I figured that push pin would be the right size scale wise for a drum here, so we're just kind of going to process through that. A little bit of brown paint here. This is a messy paint job with this blue, and you're probably thinking, Doc, you do better work than that. You're right, I do. This is super watered down though. This is less of a coat of paint, more of a wash to stain the wood to make it look better. As I was going through stuff, I found these little baskets. So we're just going to make a couple of baskets with some fruit in it, just one more detail. Hot glue and some seed beads for some berries in this one. Pretty straightforward. Filled most of the basket with some hot glue and then some bigger beads. Make those look more like apples. Now, not only did I give them a good coat of this red paint, I did go back in with a high gloss to make them shiny. Alright, last review. We've got the net trap, we've got the see-through log, the rock, we've got the elevator that works, light up fire pit, the rotisserie works as well, added the details of the mushrooms.
And here's that side-by-side comparison you were waiting for. Now, I started the build before getting this playset on hand, so mine is not exactly as tall, but it does have a lot more heart, quite a bit more detail, and playability for tabletop games. Thanks for hanging out. Have a great day.